Welcome to the Abundance Hack Show, Season 4, where we are focusing on mastery. The last 3 seasons, I gave you the information. Now, we're focusing on integrating it into our lives and embodying it. If you are ready to master your thoughts, emotions, and patterns to feel whole, fulfilled, and really grounded in who you are without dimming your shine so you can live the abundant life that you truly desire, then you are in the right place. Hey M&Ms, thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. What are you manifesting in your life today? I'm super excited to talk to today's guest. It's Nima Farshid, and he is a distributor of the BioWell machine. But before we get into everything that he does, Nima, I want to ask you, what does abundance mean to you?
Abundance means to have the right type of energies. I call it chi, the right amount of accumulation of energy so that you could spend that into creating whatever you need that is in alignment with the universe. So I call that abundance, as the manifested energy that we have within us that we can use that to create.
Yes, I love it. And we're going to be talking about light body and energy a lot. But before we dive into where you currently are, I'd love to know your backstory and how you got into the work that you currently do.
So great question. I got into this work through a personal healing journey of my own. So I was all my life, I was a very spiritual person, but just like anything else, I feel like, as long as we're not put into that position, we don't start to excel. And as long as we're not out of our comfort zone, then we don't really start to become the person that we are and start to live the life that we're supposed to live. So being a spiritual person, I always had an understanding that that we have so much power within us, that with the power of our mind, our thoughts, that we could actually create things. And this was a way that I was raised, and this was my mindset. So I would use this practice in my life, and I would create different scenarios or different types of things in my life, whether it was in the business world or in different situations. And I would practice this, and it was something really fun for me. But I created a business, and I started to put my focus and attention pretty much all into the material world and into this the three-dimensional world. And after a while, I was when I turned 33 years old, I started to have palpitations. So my heartbeat would raise to about 200 beats a minute, and it would get to a point that I would have a hard time breathing. And I would start having cold sweats, and it started to become very uncomfortable for me. So I wanted to understand what's happening. Why is it out of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm having palpitations? I was a very active person, very athletic, didn't have an ounce of fat on my body. I was a semi-professional wakeboarder, semi-professional soccer player. So I really cared about my body, and I really lived a very healthy and happy life. So I went to my regular doctor to get a checkup. And after he talked to me, he ran an EKG test on me. And he told me that I need to be rushed to a heart doctor because he sees some abnormalities in my heartbeat. So from his office, I was sent to a heart doctor's office. And once I got there, they injected me with dyes, and I had to run on a treadmill in order for them to see the flow of blood in my system, to see why I was having these palpitations. So after a few hours of testing, the doctor met with me in his office, and he told me that I would need to get a pacemaker. And he told me that if I didn't do this, that my heart could stop within 2 weeks, the way that my palpitations were. So I was kind of used to this scenario because my father had to put a pacemaker in at age 34, around there. My grandpa passed away at 40 something years old from a heart attack. And we have a history of heart problem in our family. So all my life, this was kind of like my mindset to be able to somehow find a cure, to see how we can help, generations in my family to get rid of this issue. So after this doctor told me this was just a huge wake-up call for me, because at that moment, I realized that I had spent all my time, all my energy, and I had created an empire here with everything that materially I could want. But at that moment, I realized that I couldn't take any of that with me. And in that moment, it was an awakening moment for me, that I truly realized what life is about and what is really important here. And that started to change my mindset and to start to think about what truly my mission is here. Why am I having this experience here? Started asking a lot of questions that that I should have been asking a long time ago. And by asking these questions, I started to go to different seminars to understand my mindset, how I could control my thoughts. I met with a lot of holistic doctors. I met with a lot of medical doctors, and everybody had some sort of a remedy or a modality for me to try in order to bring my heart into norm. And I decided I didn't want to do the surgery, and I didn't want to put the pacemaker in, because I didn't want to limit myself the way my father was limited in his life. So by getting this understanding and seeing all these different modalities and practicing and doing trial and errors, I really wanted something that would show me what's really working on me. So they were telling me that I'd have a limited amount of time, and I wanted to figure out something quick rather than spending my time and money on a bunch of different modalities and remedies. So I was doing research online, and on YouTube, I found BioWell, this device that was just coming to market in Russia, and it was a medical device there in Russia, and they had done close to 20 to 30 years worth of research at the time. And they had created this scientific device that would monitor the flow of energy in the human body. So this was like fascinating to me, because that's exactly what I was looking for. I wanted to see all these different meditations I'm doing. I would do different types of sound healing, and I wanted to see exactly like which one or what tunes of music is it really like helping me and healing my energetic body. So by watching these videos, I started calling the company. They didn't have any units in the US. And they told me that there was a Congress coming up in Russia, that there's a lot of scientists and medical doctors and other types of doctors that were going there to have a Congress on this device. And they were going to share their research and the work that they've done. So this was like, I felt like this is, my time. This is my call. I have to really go and understand what's going on here. So I got my visa. I went to Russia, and I got my training from the inventor of the device, Dr. Krotkov himself. And I came back to the US, and I started just testing this device every day. I would wake up in the morning. I would measure my energy to see how are my chakras aligned, if there was any disruptions of energy in my energetic body or my vital body. And I would work on different natural modalities, like different essential oils or different music files, because the software itself generates a sound file that the sound file is generated based on the alignment of the chakras and the flow of energy in the system. So then I would meditate with that, and I would let those frequencies that I'm missing to get introduced to my energetic body. And one of the really cool thing was that I could, before consuming something, I could actually hold something in my hand and get a baseline first, and I could hold it in my hand, and I could do another test. And before, without even having to consuming it and telling my body, I could see exactly on the reports whether it would increase my anxiety and stress, or whether it would bring more calmness to my body. So by practicing these and going through a process of elimination, within around 6 months, I noticed that all my palpitations went away, and I didn't have to take any medications. I didn't do any kind of a surgery. And it's 10 years later now that now I have chosen to, I was actually invited by the company after I started introducing the device. I would do just meetups in my hometown. And because it was such a life-changing experience to me, I wanted to share it with everybody, because I know I see everybody that have issues around us, and I just felt like I can help them so much by giving them an understanding on a different dimension of their being, so that they could really introduce healing to themselves on all different levels. So that's where I am now, and I've been invited with BioWell to be one of their global educators, to educate people of how to use the device and how to understand what they're picking up and what they're analyzing. And I'm also a global distributor with them. So that's just my story and where I am now with BioWell and with this technology.
Wow, such a powerful story. Thank you for sharing. And I want to echo that you chose not to have the surgery. You didn't do any like medication. It really was just changing your lifestyle, paying attention to what felt good in your body and what didn't. And you were able to change your well-being, and our bodies are designed to heal themselves, but really paying attention and listening to what's going on. So such a powerful story.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's get into energy body or like light body. Like if someone's like, okay, I have no idea what they're talking about, how would you describe what our energy body is?
So when I speak to people about their energetic body, I like to use just simple terms that we're usually used to and we already have the knowledge. And just by creating the connection, then I can help people to understand that. And it's something very simple and we see it in everyday life. So what I tell people is that imagine your body as a city, and your different organs and different systems in your body are like different houses and different businesses within a city. So for a city to be functional, we need to have a power company that generates power. And we need to have power lines that take the power from the power company and brings it to different houses and businesses. So something very simple, we all know about this. So if we understand this, then we have a very good understanding of our energetic bodies. So our energy centers or the chakras, these are like the power companies that are within our system. They generate power. And our meridians are like the power lines that take the power from our energy centers and they distribute it throughout the body to the different systems and organs. So now in the house, imagine your house, that when the power comes in, you have an electrical box with fuses that will allow the power to come into your house, the right amount of energy to come in so that it doesn't damage your appliances or anything like that. Now imagine there is a storm and there's a lightning that hits your house, and this surge of energy that's entering the system has to go through the fuse box. So as soon as energy goes through the fuse box, the fuses will pop so that extra surge of energy doesn't enter the house and doesn't damage our appliances. Now we can kind of think about the chakras in a similar fashion as that power box that's in our houses. So once we have too much emotions, let's say like we go through a divorce or we go through, we get fired from our job or something that happens to us that has a huge emotional impact on us. That kind of becomes like that surge of energy, that lightning that hits the system. And then the chakras, if they're balanced and if they're rather functional, then they act as like the fuse box. So once the energy goes to, if, for example, if let's say we go through a breakup and that energy would have influenced our heart energy center. So if our heart energy center and the chakra is balanced and is active, then by that surge of energy, it will pop and it will go out of balance. So that extra energy doesn't go within our system and damages our cardiovascular system or respiratory system or lungs or anything like that. So now by understanding these, we can just realize that some emotions will influence us. And by understanding what emotions influence what energy centers, then we get to understand ourselves on a completely different level. And we get to realize that emotions are like energy that come within our system. And now, once, for example, if we have a respiratory problem or something, we feel like, tight in our heart, then we can take a look at to see what emotions are associated with that. And by resolving those emotions, we can bring this fuse box or the fuse that's popped, kind of like turn it back on and have the energy to come back in the system and replenish all those organs and systems that within the vicinity of that energy center. So that's kind of like I like to use that. I feel like it makes it very simple because everybody's already has that knowledge.
So with what you experienced with your heart palpitations, if someone asked you, okay, well, what emotion caused that? But it was your father and your grandfather also suffered from this. So was it like generational programming that?
So generational, we talk about there's a lot of science behind how generations through the DNA, we get to pass on misinformation through different generations. And this has been like tested. So for example, there was a field that there was a cow in the field, and around the field they had an electrical fence. So the cow, the first time, walked up to the electrical fence, and as soon as the electrical fence hit it and it felt the shock, the cow never approached that fence again. So this cow had a baby, and the calf never in his life approached that electrical fence. Because through the DNA, that message was pre-programmed that if you approach that fence, you're going to get shocked. So these misinformations can pass on through generations through our DNA. So for example, in my case, with my family history, there has been something in my family history that has been a very big influence that has influenced the DNA in my family tree to have that misinformation or misconditioning to have it pass on through generations. So then I feel like it comes to one person to actually stop that and to realize it and have to deal with that emotion to understand why is that emotion passing on through. And by bringing awareness to it, not only we can heal ourselves, but we can heal generations to come. And that's where the power is.
So powerful. I love it. Yeah, I totally agree. And I know that there's so much programming that's passed. And so just seeing how powerful our bodies are, where we may have emotional or mental programming, but it still impacts us physically. And so with this BioWell machine, we're able to see different charts. And I know behind you, you have one that is like the aura, but it shows your chakras, it shows your organs, your equilibrium, it shows a lot of different things. So
yeah, what I tell people is like, how you take your car to a dealership and they hook it up to a diagnostic machine and it gives you all the information about what's happening in your car. So the BioWell is kind of the same thing for our energetic body. That by the science is based on the Kirlian photography. So what's happening is that it's actually applying inside of the camera system. It's applying a very small electrical impulse to the tip of the fingers, and it's taking an image of the body's reaction to that action. And by taking these images and sending it to the powerful software that we have, then that software will translate these images into a 22-page report of the entire wellness of the energetic flow of the system. So we get to see the amount of energy passing through every chakra or energy center, every single meridian that's in the system. We get to see the different systems and organs, different glands, everything within the system, whether there's a sympathetic, parasympathetic balance. We get to see a whole view of the flow of energy in the entire system. So it's tremendous, the amount of information that we get.
Yes. So I actually have a BioWell at Bliss Bar Meditation Studio. So I'm really excited to implement this into my sound healing, being able to show people before they go into a sound healing where their chakras are. So we have a targeted session where we know exactly what they're experiencing. But I want to talk about auras a little bit. So the photo that you have behind you. So if you're tuning in from Spotify or Apple Podcasts or iHeartRadio, I invite you to look at the video so you can see the image of the aura. So I understand that we can have dense energy in our auric field. So can you explain that a little bit? So if someone receives a scan and there's like dips and cracks in their aura, what are some causes of that? And just explain how the aura works and how we get dips and dense energy in there.
Absolutely. So just to quickly clarify, the image that you see behind me of this, the blue radiation of energy that's going around the physical body, that's actually the biofield. That's not the aura. So the aura is different than the biofield. The biofield that we generate through the BioWell is generated based on the science that we have done. So Kirlian photography, as I mentioned, is about applying very small electrical impulse to objects, could be any object. And that object will show a reaction, an energetic reaction to that action. This is laws of physics. For every action, there is a reaction. So now Kirlian photography, what it does is that it takes an image of this reaction. So at first, when the science was introduced, there was a lot of different Kirlian photography systems that people would go and put their hands and their feet on there, and they will take images, and it would show these gas discharge visualization, or this glow of energy that would appear around different objects or around different fingers of the hands. So this phenomena was pretty powerful, because once they realized was that when people are healthy, they would have a brighter glow, and the glow would be more continuous around their fingers when they would place it on this photography system. And when people weren't as healthy, once they would put their hands on there, then the glow around their fingers would be a lot smaller, and they would see a lot of breakage in different areas. So they wanted to understand what this means. So for example, if I put my index finger, and the amount of glow that's around my index finger would tell me the information that's related to that meridian or that acupuncture system. So the BioWell, the information that it draws from the acupuncture points of the body, and this is based on Chinese medicine. So when we're picking up these images from the finger, for example, the thumb is related to the head. So once we go and if we divide the thumb into 7 different sectors, and we look at the emanation or that glow discharge that's around different sectors, and we calculate those, and this has been done based on 30 to 40 years of research with a medical team, that they have created a huge database based on understanding what these different glows in different sectors mean. So now, based on all this data, we have a huge database, a global database, that once we have people that get these images, then we can compare it to our database, our global database, and it will tell us exactly what they mean. So for example, if the right sector of the thumb is related to the head, then it will calculate the amount of glow that's being generated from the system. And based on the amounts of photons that are generated there, then we can understand about the flow of energy in the system. Because what we say is that everything is light. It's just everything is in different vibrations of light.
Okay.
So that's how we're understanding that. But to get to the auras and answer that for you, the auras, so we talked about the energy centers. And in our body, we have 7 major energy centers. So, and these different energy centers, they have the same colors as the rainbow, with the same direction and the same order. So now different people throughout their life, based on what they're putting their focus on, will have more energy accumulated in different energy centers. So for example, the first energy center is at the bottom of the spine, and it has the color red. So the color red is associated with the security and safety. So let's say if somebody in their life, they have a lot of thoughts and emotions about their security and their safety, then they're sending a lot of energy to this energy center, and this energy center will become overactive. So the more energy that's in these different centers, then they will emanate different lights around their bodies. So these different lights that are being emanated from these different energy centers, that becomes the auric field or our aura.
Okay.
So that's why you have different colors of aura, and that's because it depends on what energy center is most activated in that person. Okay. And that's usually that color that you see, that hue of that color around that person.
Ah, okay. So the biofield and the aura is 2 different things. And so the BioWell scans your biofield.
That's correct.
Okay. So look, M&Ms, we're learning together. And I love you said that your mission is to spread light and bridge spirituality with science. And that is one of the things that I really loved about the BioWell that attracted me to it, because I can do a bunch of sound healing sessions and talk about chakras, but being able to actually show people what is going on is a whole other level, and it's backed by science. So it's not just the esoteric spiritual realm, it's also backed by science. So So I love everything that you're doing, and I'm about to do some training with him. So I know exactly what I'm looking at on the screen, because it provides, what is it, 7 different charts? Or is it 5 or 7?
It's 7 different charts. So we talk about the energy analysis, which is the blue hue around the body. We look at the alignment of the chakras. We look at the meridians to see how the energy is getting distributed throughout the system. And then it would show us in joules of energy of exactly how much joules of energy is passing through what meridians.
And so for someone who doesn't know what joules is, can you explain that?
Yes. So joules is the unit for measuring energy. Like we use inches to measure length, we use joules to measure energy. So that's how the BioWell measures the flow of energy in the system with the measurements of joules. So what we say is that about 4 to 6 joules of energy is the optimal amount of energy to be flowing through the system. So if you see in some areas there's more than 6 joules of energy passing through, that gives us an indication that there's too much energy passing through there. And if it's below 4 joules of energy, then that means that the system doesn't have enough energy. So we need to introduce more energy to it. And this could be it becomes a fun game because, we can introduce energy to our system through our different senses. So, sound healing is through our sense of hearing. So we can use, just by looking at the different colors, we absorb energy. And that's why we have different colors in our lives. I always, with the BioWell, I show people, and usually before I get to the chakra scan, I quickly take a look at it. And the energy center that is usually the weakest or the strongest, that usually is the favorite color of that person.
Interesting.
And that is extremely interesting because if usually you look at women and you look at their color of nail polish that they wear, that's usually the color that they're attracted to. And that's usually that frequency and the vibration that we're so smart and we're so powerful that subconsciously we know exactly what's good for us. So by having that color with us, then we are introducing that frequency to our energetic body. And that's why we feel comfortable and happy by wearing that color shirt or wearing that color nail polish. So that's how we can get into the psychology of colors as well.
So interesting. So you said that sometimes the centers are receiving too much energy. I'm a very vibrant person, so I usually err on the side of things being overactive.
I can see your energy is like emanating everywhere.
So what would you say is a reason for, because I imagine I attract other people similar to me. So I'm sure most of my audience they err more on the side of overactive. So what would you say is a reason your energy center would be receiving too much energy?
So the secret to life is to be balanced, right? So if we put too much energy or we pay too much attention to one thing in our life, then because when the attention goes, the energy flows. So if we are putting too much attention on our financial life, then our base chakra or root chakra becomes overactive. If we have too much fun and life is all about fun, then our solar plexus becomes overactive. If we love too much, our heart chakra becomes overactive. If we speak too much and don't have a balance of that, then our throat chakra goes out of balance. So it just becomes a beautiful way of understanding ourselves. And usually when I'm talking about the chakra balance with a person, it's usually my favorite part of the report, because after people realize how for example, not speaking their truth and holding things in, and they see graphically how they're damaging their thyroid and how they're reducing the energy in their throat. So by understanding these and people just bringing awareness to it, I see people cry right in front of me when they see, and then they make the correlation because, they feel it so powerful and they see it. So I feel like it has a very tremendous effect on them.
Yeah. The chakra chart is why I purchased the BioWell. And now I'm learning that it does so much more, but the chakra scan is exactly why I was drawn to the machine initially. And then when I purchased it and I realized it does so much more, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. But the chakra, and it actually, so M&Ms, if you're listening or if you're watching, I'm going to put a video on the screen so you can see where you can drag over the chakra, and it'll tell you the percentage that it's in balance. And you can also compare to what a balanced chakra system looks like to where you are. So these are really powerful scans that I think it's going to be revolutionary for my sound therapy business and just what's possible around. So if anyone has interest in a BioWell, I will definitely have information in the show notes so you can one, go and receive a scan so you can see where you are. And then also, if you are in the sound healing space or spa, wellness, anything pertaining to wellness and energy healing, this is definitely something that you would want to incorporate in your business because it's really powerful. I'm still learning, obviously. It does so much, and I'm excited to dive deeper into everything that is possible with this machine. So I can talk about this all day, but we do have to wrap it up. So I want to ask one final question. What is your top 3 tips for living an abundant life?
To live an abundant life, number one is to meditate. Because once we meditate, we get to disconnect every other emotions or anything that's influencing our true thinking about our lives. So to meditate is just to be able to get ourselves every day, preferably every morning before we start our day, to get ourselves to a point of making a decision and looking at our day that is not connected based on any emotions. So making decisions based on our true reason for living our life. That way itself becomes so powerful in life that just by doing that, we can manifest things in our lives. We can live the life that we want to live. So number 2 is forgiveness. Forgiveness is the most powerful thing we can do in life, because by forgiving, and I tell people that if we don't forgive for other people, we forgive for ourselves. Because as long as we hold on to emotions, that is what bogs us down. That is what causes issues in our lives. So we say that like emotions are like a broken glass, that if you hold on to it too long, it will cut you. So we need to forgive and get rid of all the extra emotions that especially sits within our heart. And that was why I had a lot of palpitations. I had to work on forgiveness and forgiving a lot of things, and realizing that I am today the person that I am is because of my past, is because of what I've been through. So we need to cherish every moment, everything that's happened to us, and realize that without that, we wouldn't be here today. So that's forgiveness. And number 3 is to be vibrant and just to shine your lights and live the life of your dreams, and don't let anything limit you or influence you, and just bring into your mind and your thought what you want in your life, and don't take no for an answer. And keep digging and keep going through until you achieve it and you create it for yourself, because I believe we live in heaven, and with our thoughts, we create whatever we want here.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So where can people find you online?
So I'm on Instagram at Nima, Nima Farshid, Farshid. And I have an app that I have founded. And this app brings wellness practitioners together. And we do research on different modalities in order to understand what modality introduces the most amounts of healing to a person, so that we can live a preventative lifestyle and learn from each other, so that we can bring more knowledge to our clients, and to be able to treat people in an integrative in a holistic way, rather than just focusing on whether the energetic body, the physical body, or the mental body. So we're coming to an age that we need to combine all together and look at health and wellness in an integrative way. And in the app, that's what we do. So it's at lightworkersapp.com. That's LIGHT workersapp.com. And that's where we have all of our wellness practitioners together, that they share knowledge, and we have different courses that we offer on there. So it's a great place for learning and sharing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you
And
for having me.
I will have all of his links in the show notes. So you can definitely follow him and all of the research and amazing things that he's doing and just educating healers so they can heal. And it's just going to create this amazing ripple effect of healing, love, abundance, and all the yummy things that we love talking about on this podcast. So thank you for your service and everything that you're doing.
Thank you for you and spreading lights and sharing light with everybody.
Thank you. All right, M&Ms, until next time, be decadent. Thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. I would love to hear from you. Leave your comments and questions, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our yummy episodes. Every time you leave a 5-star rating or review, I do my happy dance.